It's not about creating. I mean, yes, you want to take action and you want to focus and you want to have clarity of thought, but you've got to shift your energy first. Because when you elevate and expand your energy before taking action, then you get incredible results. That is true productivity. And that is the key to success. And what's amazing most of all is you don't have to be a victim of what's going on around you. You're no longer a victim of your boss, of the economy, of the government, of a pandemic. You're not a victim of what's going on around you. You've got the power within you to just be aware of the energy that you're giving off, of what you're feeling, and begin to climb the ladder and begin to shift your energy. And from that, unbelievable, successful things will flow to you that you could have never thought of after 1,000 hours of focused concentration from your head.
Hey, it's Rocky. Welcome to Richer Soul. Today's guest is Janet McKee, who is going to share how to achieve stressless success in life and business. Imagine it's 12 months from now, and you've achieved your major life goals. How does it feel to be in the best shape of your life, to wake up energized, excited about the day, to have great relationships and friends who support you and propel you forward? How does it feel to have an excess of money, to be able to make the choices you want, to be fearless and open to trying new adventures? Imagine being connected to the universe and it providing everything you desire. It's possible over time, and your past does not dictate your future. The only thing holding you back from this vision is you. It's time to take control of our thoughts and use them to our advantage. Welcome to Richer Soul, where we achieve our dreams and bring balance to health, wealth, relationships, time, and spirituality. If you have not had a chance to listen to episodes 1 through 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to the framework behind Richer Soul and how to create the life of your dreams. You can also find all the show notes for this episode at richersoul.com. While you're there, you can sign up for a monthly email where I share the best articles I read this month, let you know about upcoming episodes, and share a little wisdom. You can also listen to coaching calls under the Coaching Calls tab. I also share the most interesting articles I read every week on Facebook at facebook.com/Richer Soul. And there's also a Facebook group where you can ask questions and interact with other listeners. Today's quote comes from Wayne Dyer. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Today, we're going to change the way we look at success and how to achieve it. But before we do, let's review last week's action step. That was to review your day and what you did or didn't get done. So that begs the question, how are you at getting things done? I use a Google Calendar, and I put my tasks on the calendar that I need to do. It might be at a specific time or just in an open time block. And when the time comes, I just do it. Most often in the past, I would spend more time thinking about doing something than actually doing it, which wasted a lot of time. Now, it's easy to get things done because I see, oh, it's time to do that, and I just do it. As this episode releases, I am on vacation for the week. This year has thrown us off schedule, and we're just going to go hang out at the beach and having a relaxing week in relative seclusion. Once I return, I have a week of normal, and then we tend to shut down for Christmas holiday. 2 weeks of relaxing, not running around. We catch up on the things we missed during the year and didn't get done. We tend to clean up a bit. Just hang out as a family. I try not to travel. And with the way things are this year, it's all good. I also think about my goals and plans going forward. As I've mentioned before, I've already completed my 3-year plan for where I will be on December 31st, 2023. And I'm already implementing it. I also hope to read a lot over these next few weeks and when we're on shutdown and during vacation, and then decide what adjustments I want to make to my life. It's really stress less, which is our topic today, around how to do less and achieve more. I'm going back through Brendan Burchard's High Performance Academy, and I want to have that finished off this quarter. That's my big goal. I find life is simple, and when we take simple steps consistently, we achieve the life we desire without a lot of friction. And most of the friction tends to come internally with ourselves. Our guest today is Janet McKee. She is a speaker, best-selling author, high-performance consultant, and CEO of SanaView. She's one of only 200 elite coaches in the world certified in high performance by the High Performance Institute, and is inducted as a member of the National Association of Experts, Writers, and Speakers. She's author of the new book that we're going to talk about, Stressless Success, The Surprising Secrets to Living a Life of Passion, Purpose, and Prosperity. Janet created the acclaimed Accelerated High Performance Program and the EM Power 3 Leadership Plus Lifestyle Retreats to empower others to break through negative patterns and achieve greater success. Let's meet our guest. Welcome to Richer Soul, Janet McKee. It's great to have you join us today.
Thank you so much, Rocky. I'm pleased to be here.
And I'm excited. I went through the book and I'm excited to learn from you and dig into it deeper. But before we get to that, let's start at the beginning. What was it like when you were growing up, and how much did your family and school teach you about money?
I love that question because it does bring me back to realizing the foundation of who I am and my beliefs and how I learned so much from my father. My father was born and raised in Italy. So he came here at the age of 16 as an immigrant. And he was treated really poorly as an immigrant back then, by the way. It was a long time ago. But he had to build everything himself from scratch. He had to learn the language. He had to develop his own business. He actually became a barber, and he cut hair for a living. And I grew up watching him get up early, go into work super early to get those early clients, work all day, come home late, just never took a day off, worked very hard. But he's the true example of the American dream because he retired a multimillionaire by being a barber, Rocky. Isn't that incredible? So he saved every penny. He worked really hard. So I learned that work ethic. That's a good thing. I learned to be dedicated and focused, and he was excellent with his clients. Like all of his customers couldn't wait to go to Joe's barbershop. And he was just an amazing being in the community and all of that. That's the good part that I learned. The not so good part was that I learned that it's hard to make money, that, money doesn't grow on trees. You really need to make huge sacrifices and work very, very hard because it's hard. And that is what I proceeded as a young career woman with, that understanding. And all of that belief that you must really stress and struggle and work hard, very hard, and give up everything, right? To put in long hours just to climb the ladder and to achieve success is ultimately, yes, I got to success, but it burned me out and I landed in the hospital. So it's interesting what I learned about money, but now I have the benefits of what he taught me about being focused and dedicated. And yes, you can build, but at the same time, my newest discoveries have changed everything for me.
So what are some of those new discoveries?
What I've discovered, Rocky, is that we believe we must stress and struggle to achieve the next level of success, but actually the opposite is true. And I'm not talking about you don't take action. What's important is taking action from a place of elevated and expanded feelings or energy. When we stress and struggle, we put up walls of resistance. And that's why we become so exhausted. These walls of resistance, because we believe everything has to be so hard and we must strive and struggle, those walls block other opportunities and solutions from coming to you that you would have never thought of through any amount of hours of concentrated stress and struggle. That greater ideas and possibilities come to you with ease when you break down those walls of resistance. And this is what shifted everything for me, and of course, many of the clients that I work with.
That's interesting. And before we dig into it, I think it's always good for people to hear the backstory. So you also chased that American dream, right? The corporate life, doing the hard work. How did that turn out?
Exactly as you might imagine, all of the hard work. Yes, I was a high achiever and was climbing the corporate ladder very rapidly, faster than any of my peers. I worked in 2 Fortune 500 companies, got my MBA, Rocky. I was just such a high achiever. I was on fire, achieving incredible levels of success. But I was working extremely hard, and all the stress and pressure took me down. I literally landed in the hospital with an autoimmune disease, and the doctors gave me no hope. I decided that there's got to be a solution. I got myself out of the hospital, learned through trial and error how to heal my body naturally. From that, I made a complete change in my career, left the corporate world because I wanted to help other people, and went to Columbia University to study holistic health and wellness. So all of that stress and pressure that I put on myself, by the way, it's a choice, because I thought that's what I needed to do to climb the ladder, almost killed me. And so that's what happened in that situation. But looking back, it's brilliant. And it's an amazing gift that I went through all of that. Because if it wasn't for almost dying in the hospital, I would have never searched for solutions that have made me healthier than I've ever could have been. I'm 55 years old with no illness whatsoever, no medication whatsoever. And they told me 2 decades ago that it would be impossible. So I look back at that challenge and realize I'm grateful for it, because if it wasn't for that, I never would be where I am today. But going along and working in the wellness arena was great. And I had great success in working with clients for about 15 years or so. But it's at that point that I ran into 2 more walls in my life, Rocky, if you don't mind me mentioning. I then had a situation where my husband of 26 years walked out on me and our son in an hour's notice, left me not only heartbroken and our family ripped apart, but on the brink of financial disaster. He had put liens on these investment properties that I developed while raising our son for financial stability for our family. But right before he left, those liens that were to support a business that he bought a few years prior, that business was now failing. So he walked out with a failing business and left me with these liens. I felt like I was standing on thin ice, and the roof above my head was a house of cards, because he also put a lien on the home where we lived. I literally was heartbroken, family ripped apart, and on the brink of bankruptcy, and not knowing how I was going to support a home for me and our son. All of this led me out, literally and figuratively, around the world to study with world masters in success, achievement, abundance, positivity, high performance. And each one was like a delicious morsel that I would taste and savor, and it would help me somewhat. But it wasn't until I made this huge discovery that we're starting to tap into here today that everything began to change for me and for the people I work with. I was feeling stuck and frustrated before that, even though I was trying these different things I learned. But when I started to put it all together in what I call this delicious recipe, that's when everything shifted.
And you mentioned recipe. And I always use this analogy for people. You might have all the right pieces, but if you don't have the right recipe and you're trying to bake a cake, you put the right ingredients in the wrong order and you don't end up with a wonderful cake. You end up with a mess. And it sounds like you're making a very similar analogy.
Oh, exactly. I love that analogy of the cake. And then to further on that analogy, the cake is not the same without the icing on the top. And what we're going to discuss today is not only how to bake a fabulous cake with the right recipe and the right order of ingredients, but then the icing on the top that brings it all together and creates a truly delicious cake that creates success.
So what's the secret recipe?
Okay, so let's look at this. And I'm going to give you an example, Rocky, of where I was working with a client of mine when I made the discovery that changed everything. We hear so much, right, about, oh, you need a positive mindset, right? You need to control your thoughts. And it's all about being positive. Have you heard that?
A million times.
A million. And why is it that most people are still struggling? Because that advice is actually wrong. And that shocks people to hear it. Now, don't get me wrong. When things are going great, right? And you're feeling great and everything's going great and you're having one of those days or those months or, everything's just fabulous. Absolutely. Positive thoughts are fantastic. You want to keep that momentum going of just everything's going wonderfully. The problem is that when things are not going well, and you are facing a challenge that you're upset about, that you're emotional about, that has created fear or anxiety, and somebody comes along and says, oh, Rocky, you just need to have a positive mindset, and you try to think a positive thought, you actually can make the situation worse. I'm working with a client of mine at the moment that I made this discovery, and she's a CEO of a $250 million company. And she said to me, Janet, I'm doing great in business. Business is going well. It's very stressful. It's a lot of pressure, but that's going well. What I'm concerned about, and the reason why I want to work with you, is because all of the stress and pressure is creating what I'm fearful about is a chronic disease. I have this chronic pain in my abdomen, and I'm very scared. She said, but don't worry. I read all the books, took all the seminars, watched all the webinars about positive mindset and how there's a mind and body connection. So I go to bed at night and I repeat to myself positive affirmations. And I said to her, Monica, what are you saying to yourself when you go to bed at night? She said, Janet, I go to bed and I say to myself, I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. That's when I realized she was forcing a positive thought about something she was fearful about. But what she was putting out from her energy was more fear. So it's not the positive thought. It's not the positive mindset that is the secret. It's not the answer. The answer is how you feel, because that's what creates your energy. So what I did with her is I said, Monica, just wait a second. That doesn't feel good what you're saying. I'm feeling your fear. And the more you put fear out, the more you're going to get back reasons to be fearful. Because Rocky, everything we give out, we get back. And that's just a basic concept here that I want everyone to remember. And you know that, right? Like when you're having a great day and you're feeling great and everything's going well and you go into a meeting and people look at you and like, wow, what happened to you? Like, I really want to hear what you have to say, right? They can sense it from you. They have that sixth sense. Versus a day that you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you stubbed your toe and you're just miserable and you're thinking about everything you have to do today. And then your dog, threw up on the rug or whatever. It's just like you get into traffic on the way to work and you walk into a meeting. What kind of outcome are you going to get at that meeting? It comes from you, and it comes from this energy you create that's that's amazing, because that's what you have power over, is you have the power over the energy that you give off. So I said to Monica, Monica, wait a minute. Imagine you're on the bottom rung of a ladder. And right now you're feeling fear and anxiety. If you try to leap to the top rung of a ladder and say to yourself, oh, I'm healthy, right? What happens if you try to leap from the low rung of a ladder to the top rung of a ladder in one leap? You're going to fall off that ladder and break your leg or worse. She said, that's right. Okay. So what we want to do instead is take one rung of the ladder at a time. We're going to grab onto the rung and have solid footing that feels better. Because it doesn't feel good to just say, I'm healthy, when you're feeling pain. So, Monica, your body is experiencing pain. And so it's telling you that something's out of balance, correct? Yes, it is. Well, you're a smart woman, and you're going to start recognizing that your body is telling you that something's out of balance. So you're going to start searching for solutions, correct? Yes, I am. So that pain that your body is feeling is letting you know that something is wrong, something's out of balance. So that's actually a good thing. Yes, it is. So you see how we were taking small thoughts that she believed that actually feel better. And she began to climb the ladder. Now, here's what's important. At one point, she's going to reach for a rung that starts to feel uncomfortable because she's gone a little bit too far. So we said then, okay, Monica, I want you to get off the ladder. I want you to walk away from the subject. Just forget about it. Forget about that for a moment. And let's do anything and everything that helps you to feel better. I want you to tell me about a vacation that you took with your daughter, Caroline, last summer. She said, oh, we went to the beach. I said, now tell me about a day on the beach. She said, oh, we played in the sand and we were playing in the waves. And I said, could you feel the sun on your skin? And what did that feel like? She said, oh, it was amazing. It was a beautiful day. And we were drinking these strawberry smoothies. I said, what did they taste like? So I took her away from this focus of what she was fearful about, and we created a thought within her that felt better, right? We got her to start feeling better, a feeling of joy and the warmth on her skin. And by helping her shift the way she felt, it shifted her energy. Then she's feeling better. She's broken away these walls of resistance. She has more blood flow going to her brain, because when we're stressed, the blood flow drains from your brain and you cannot even think clearly. And then we're able to go back to the ladder. And now she has the clarity and the energy to climb further. So this is what we're talking about. And let me mention, this is not just Janet McKee imagining some crazy idea. This has been proven. It's begun to be proven in scientific research. There is a theory called quantum mechanics. It's a theory within quantum physics where scientists have discovered that not only is everything energy, everything is energy. So we think that things are solid, like this desk where I'm sitting, we think is solid. But if you were to look within the atom, inside the smallest particle of everything that is solid, it's actually not solid. It's actually fluid. Everything is truly energy at its core. But more importantly, Rocky, what the scientists discovered is the focus. What they focused on would influence the outcome of a scientific study. It's a very famous study called the double slit experiment. And just to summarize real quickly, they had these two slits in a board, and imagine they shot electrons actually, which is a subparticle in an atom, through these two slits. So imagine light beams were being shot through these two slits in a board. When they focused on the slits, the light beams came out on the other side in the formation of slits, right? When they turned away from the slits, and ran the study, the light beams or the electrons came through in a scattered formation. So this was the beginning of the discovery that the power of the thoughts within us can create the reality around us. But not to sound arrogant, but I explain it one step deeper, because every time they've reproduced this experiment many, many times and got the same results. But sometimes they do something similar and they don't get the same results exactly. But here's the difference. The difference is the energy. If they're just doing it from their head, they're just thinking about it, then not much happens. But when they really have deep thought and powerful intention, that's when they see the difference. So it's that deep intention that creates energy that comes from them, and it affects what's happening around them. So what do we do with that information? What we do is recognize that we have more power within us than we ever thought possible. And it's the power of creating your energy. And that power is right in the palm of your hands.
And that's very true. I'm going to mention 2 books only because I think they apply to this. One that I just read was Healing Back Pain by Dr. John Sarno. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but he basically is talking about how our stress ends up causing us to have physical pain and so forth from that. So it's kind of along the same lines that you're saying. The stress causes the pain, which is a signal to you that you need to change something. And so that was a big part of that book. And I think the other book is probably The Field by Lynn McTaggart, which also talks about that entire energy field and so forth. And I think in that book, they talked about it. I know you mentioned the desk. From what my understanding is there's actually more space, unfilled space in the desk than there is solid space within the desk. Meaning, even though we think the piece of wood is solid, there's actually a lot more space than there is solid. And we don't really realize that. And it's true. Science is finally catching up. And I think it's because, and we've talked about this on past episodes, a long time ago, science and medicine shifted away from the spiritual side. And they both went their different ways, each kind of taking a part of it. And we didn't realize that they are together. And now they're starting to figure out, hey, all this stuff is interconnected. We can't do one without the other.
Exactly. I love that you brought up that things are more fluid than they are solid. And that just goes to show that there's more energy around us than there are solid particles. But how do we apply this? Like, how do we apply this information to our lives? And what does this truly mean? And that's where positive mindset misses the boat. They completely miss it because it's not what's going on in your head. It's not just what's going on in your head. As a matter of fact, Rocky, have you ever been able to control all of your thoughts all of the time?
You can't control your thoughts, but you can understand that they're irrelevant.
Exactly. But you can't control your thoughts. So the thoughts, you're going to have negative thoughts and positive thoughts. You're going to have encouraging thoughts and discouraging thoughts. Like, these things are just going to happen. You're human. You don't try to fight against negative thoughts. Like we hear all that, don't have a negative thought, right? You gotta get rid of the negative thoughts. Well, if you try to push against something, you give it power, you give it more energy. And so we're not going to fight against those. We're not going to try to control our thoughts, because if you try to do that, you're never going to be able to, because you are human, and you might as well give it up. And that's why so many people that are facing a challenge and somebody comes along and says, oh, you just need to think positively. You're going to say, get out of here. Don't tell me that. You don't understand. I'm really facing something that's truly upsetting right now. Okay. And they're right. So you're not going to try to control your thoughts. What you can do is far simpler. And that is to do anything and everything that helps you to feel better. And that might sound so ridiculously simple, but it is. It's simple. It's not always easy to do. So what are we talking about? When you do anything that helps you to break down those walls of resistance, ideas, possibilities, opportunities come flowing to you that you could have never come up with by your head alone. We were facing in one of our businesses, I'm a CEO of SanaView. Sana is Latin for health and wellness. And so we have a business where we inspire and teach you how to live a more successful life, a life that's happier, healthier, and more successful. Well, an offshoot of that business is we own an organic farm, and it's all about getting back to the rhythms of Mother Nature and eating real food and all of that. That's a small part of our business. But that farm was losing money. We were trying to grow organic produce, and we were losing money because it was costing us more to grow the produce than we could make selling it. And we were concerned because that business was losing money. I'm like, oh no, we're going to lose our farm. And our farm's just a really beautiful, incredible place. Well, I started to learn about these concepts, about everything as energy. And I realized that, okay, it's all in me. And I started to play around with these ideas of shifting me and shifting my energy. The next thing I know I was interviewed on the radio by this medical doctor. And I happened to mention in that interview that I own a farm. And we were talking about it. And I got off the radio interview and I get this phone call from this young man. And he said, Ms. McKee, I heard your interview and I heard you have a farm. Do you mind if I come out and see your farm? I said, no, sure, come on out. Well, this young man came to my farm and brought his fiance, and they said, we love your farm. Can we get married there? And I was like, what? I'm like, you want to get married at my farm? And meanwhile, this is way before we've, renovated the barn, and that was just filled with hay and it was a mess. And we're like, well, okay. And that might sound obvious to people, but I didn't know that people got married in barns. I think it's a really huge trend right now, but I didn't know anything about that. I was going through a divorce. I wasn't in the wedding business, right? Well, it was hugely successful and word of mouth got out. And all of a sudden, guess what? Our farm is thriving. As a matter of fact, of all my investment properties, it's the one that's making the most money. Now, I did not think of that. Through all of my hours of focused concentration to try to figure out what to do about the fact that the farm was losing money, I didn't come up with that. It wasn't in my head. It came to me. It walked in the door because I was shifting my energy. This is what I'm talking about. And same thing with when I started to shift my energy after all the struggles I went through in my life. I studied with all of these world masters in success and positivity, but I still was feeling stuck. It's when I started working on my energy that I got invited to contribute a chapter to a book with Brian Tracy, who's a business legend in success, right? And that became a best-selling book. I got called by Jack Canfield, who's a multi-million-dollar best-selling author, because he wanted to interview me in Hollywood because he heard about the success I was having with working with my clients. So these things weren't things I strived and struggled to achieve. They came to me. And that is the idea of stressless success. It's not about creating. Yes, you want to take action and you want to focus and you want to have clarity of thought, but you've got to shift your energy first. Because when you elevate and expand your energy before taking action, then you get incredible results. That is true productivity. And that is the key to success. And what's amazing most of all is you don't have to be a victim of what's going on around you. You're no longer a victim of your boss, of the economy, of the government, of a pandemic. You're not a victim of what's going on around you. You've got the power within you to just be aware of the energy that you're giving off, of what you're feeling, and begin to climb the ladder and begin to shift your energy. And from that, unbelievable, successful things will flow to you that you could have never thought of after 1,000 hours of focused concentration from your head.
And that's very true. It's because I think when you're in your head, you're closed off to possibility.
Exactly.
And even if possibility is right in front of you, you can't see it. And you don't accept it. Today's episode is sponsored by Profit Answer Man Podcast. Did you know that most small business owners hate looking at their financials? It's one reason they may struggle with business success. The Profit Answer Man podcast helps them ensure they are profitable and can pay their employees and weather the storms we all have to face. It's built on the Profit First methodology of pay yourself first. The Profit Answer Man podcast is a must listen to for every small business owner and anyone who wants to help them survive and thrive. Check it out on your favorite listening platform. The question comes, for somebody who's somewhat new at this, practically, how does one shift their energy?
Perfect question. So thank you. And the perfect timing of that question now that I've explained all that. So number one, Rocky, and of course I come from a wellness background, but I was so thrilled to learn from the High Performance Institute, which they selected me years ago to be one of only 200 coaches in the world trained with the research that they did for 20 years. And I apply that to the work that I do with the corporations I work with and my clients. But they discovered that the world's most accomplished people know that wellness is the foundation. So number one, we got to build a foundation of good health. And that means you go to bed early, you get high quality rest, you wake up in the morning, you reach for deliberately thoughts that feel better. So instead of waking up and being, oh no, I'm worried, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to pay the bills, I got to feed the dog, right? All of this worry and fear that we wake up as humans and start to experience, they instead they create thoughts that feel better. And Rocky, let me just mention, I started playing around with this years ago. I was like waking up and I noticed I would have uncomfortable thoughts right away. And I just decided to start saying, okay, I'm going to have a good day. I wonder who I'm going to meet. I wonder what kind of conversations I'm going to have. And I noticed that my days were better. I wake up now, and do you know what I say to myself? I say, today is going to be the best day of my life. But I don't just say that in my head. I feel what it feels like to have the best day of my life. And it's the feeling that creates my energy vibration, right from the beginning. But I had a good night's sleep, and then I do that in the morning, and I drink fresh water. I eat real food grown from Mother Nature, the way Mother Nature intended, and I move my body. Breathe fresh air, all of this common sense things to build the foundation of wellness. Because when you feel good, when you take good care of yourself, it's so much easier to have the energy, clarity, confidence that you need to deal with challenges that come up in our lives, right? You know, when you're exhausted, everything is difficult. So number one, wellness is the foundation. Number two, I want you to just learn to be aware of how you're feeling, because it's your feeling, your emotions, your feelings that create your energy that you're giving off. And everything that you give off is what you're going to get back, because everything is energy. So I want you to learn to be aware of that energy. Just be aware. And then number three, I want you to learn how to have a set of tools in your hip pocket that you can grab any moment of any day when you're feeling uncomfortable that help you to feel better. Things like prayer, meditation, dance and sing, get outside in Mother Nature, walk your dog, play with your cat, do anything that helps you to feel better, because that's going to shift your energy. Then you are better equipped to allow possibilities and solutions and opportunities to come to you with less stress and struggle and more with ease.
And I think that was a big aha for me, is we talk about feelings, but we think they're in our head, and they're not. They're through our whole body. Like, you can look across the room and tell how people are feeling, right? You can tell who's depressed and who's excited. And you can feel it too. Like, if you see somebody who looks depressed, people have a tendency to walk away. If somebody looks energetic, people have a tendency to go closer.
Exactly.
But I don't think we always think these things through in that way. We don't make that connection that they go together.
The thought and the feeling could be two completely different things. That yes, when things are going great, your thoughts and your feelings are all in that positivity, and that's great momentum. Keep it going. But when you're feeling that discomfort, that something is stressing you out or concerning you or upsetting you, that's where you got to pay attention to the fact that thoughts and feelings can be very different, because you're going to try to think a positive thought. But if it doesn't feel good, you're creating more of that bad feeling energy. So let's look at somebody that takes the word challenge. And like, oh, I have a challenge. This is going to be so difficult. How horrible, right? And then you take someone else and they're like, oh, a challenge. I can't wait to roll up my sleeves and dig in. And I wonder what this is going to teach me. I wonder what this challenge is going to show me. I wonder what good may come of this, right? Look at all of my challenges I faced in my life. They all taught me something incredibly important. If it wasn't for almost dying in the hospital, I would never be as healthy as I am today. If it wasn't for my husband leaving me heartbroken at the brink of financial disaster, would I ever be as happy and successful as I am today? Every challenge is like amazing opportunity. So do you see how that word challenge, the thought challenge, can either feel really bad or feel really good? So it's not really exactly the mind, it's the feelings behind it. And again, this is very, very simple, but it's not always easy, and it takes practice. So just like a successful athlete, a professional athlete, they know their sport, but they practice every day. Just like a musician that knows their instrument, they practice every day. It's the same thing we have to do here. We just have to be aware of how we're feeling. What's our energy giving off? Don't worry about your mindset because your mind's going in a million directions. It's okay. Don't fight against that. Don't try to control it. Just how am I feeling? What energy am I giving off? And then after you're aware of it, you say, what can I do to feel even better? Like, even if you're feeling good, how can I take it to the next level before I start my day, or before I make that phone call, or before I take action or walk into this meeting? That is when you're taking your power and creating a life of success. This is deliberate intent. It's like you have this ball of Play-Doh right in your hands, and you're working it and you're stretching it and you're shaping it to create the life that you want. And it's all right there for you.
And I say 100 times, right? Life is pretty simple, but simple is hard. And the biggest thing we have to face and overcome is the reflection in the mirror. And when we can do those two things, but it's hard. Like, even though it seems so simple, it's hard. I know you've been talking about this, and we've been talking about your book, but what inspired you to write the book, Stressless Success, The Surprising Secrets to a Life of Passion, Purpose, and Prosperity?
Rocky, it's when I made the discovery. Like everyone else, I was hearing it's all about positive mindset. You just need to control your thoughts. And it wasn't working for me completely. It helped a little bit, but why was I still stuck? And it's when I made that discovery, when I was working with Monica, and I realized her positive mindset was making her situation worse, that I decided to start investigating that further and unpacking that further, and started playing around with this whole idea that it's not our thoughts completely, that it's something deeper, far more powerful, but far more easier to affect is how you feel than you can ever control your thoughts. And it was, as I discovered that and I began to apply it in my life, and I began to move mountains that I was told from others were impossible. And then I started to work with clients, and I saw them move mountains in their lives that they believed were impossible. That's when I knew I had to put this together in writing. And it's kind of interesting because I thought I was going to release that in the spring, early summer of 2019, but I kept uncovering more, and I kept adding more to the book, which did make it better and far more effective in terms of how I described and explained all of this to the reader. So it's easier for the reader to be able to apply it to their lives. But Rocky, look at this. I released Stressless Success February of 2020, right before a worldwide pandemic hit. I could not have planned that any better. This is what happens when you apply what I'm sharing. It's not about what's in your head. If it was in my head, I would have released that the spring of 2019. Instead, I kept allowing it to flow and allowing it to flow. And more ideas were coming to me. More examples and stories were coming to me. That then I landed on February of 2020. You cannot create that level of success through your head alone. This is what happens when you work your energy. And I immediately hit #1 bestseller in 5 categories. And that was incredible. Never thought that I could achieve such success so easily. And that is what happened. But after the pandemic hit, and I got interviewed on all these radio shows and everything, and the podcast, I decided to give the book away for free because I want people to have this information. So if you don't mind me mentioning.
No, you can go ahead and mention where they can get it.
Yeah. So you can go to janetmckee.com and you'll learn more about me and what I do. And there is an ability to get access to the book, or visit stresslesssuccess.com. And you have the opportunity to, #1, get immediate PDF download of my 3-day Banish Burnout plan so that you can apply some of these principles immediately to get immediate results. But you have the opportunity to order a free paperback copy that I will personally ship to you. All you have to do is pay shipping and handling. I am giving this away because I want people to have this information. I'm not in the business of selling books. I'm in the business, and I'm dedicating my life, and I'm passionate about helping people know this surprising secret, because I believe this is the secret to life. It's not about mindset. It's not. It's about the energy that you give off, and I explain how to create more often through practice this elevated and expanded energy, because from that, you will experience an elevated and expanded life with ease.
And I think that does come back to your latter analogy of this is not something that happens overnight. You don't read the book and tomorrow you're perfect. You have to go through the process and do the work. And little by little, you make progress. And it does take time.
Absolutely.
When dealing with your mind and dealing with the negative thoughts, it's as you say, if you fight them, they win. But if you can learn to dance with them, that's when you win.
Oh, I love the way you said that. Dance with them.
Yeah.
Do you know there's an entire chapter in my book titled Negative Thoughts Are a Positive Thing?
Yes. Yeah. I read the book. I went through it.
And that shocks people. So not only am I saying positive mindset's not the answer, I then say negative thoughts are a positive thing. How could that be so? You know, we hear, oh, you got to eliminate the negative thoughts, right? You got to get rid of those. Well, like you said, if you try to fight against them, you push against them. Anything you push against, you're giving your power to, and that's going to gain energy. So let's look at this analogy, Rocky. You're driving down the highway and you're heading to the life of your dreams. And you're driving down the highway and you start to daydream and you begin to veer off the side of the road and you hit those rumble strips on the side of the road, right? It's like boom, 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 boom. They feel uncomfortable. Well, those rumble strips are there to keep you from driving off the cliff. They're actually there to protect you. Well, so are your negative thoughts and feelings. So if we know that everything we give out, we get back, and if we're giving out negative feelings from our negative thoughts, right, then we're going to get more reason back to live negatively. So if we know they're just our rumble strips, we're like, oh, that's okay. They're there to let me know I'm getting off my path. They're a good thing. So I'm noticing, I'm aware of this discomfort. So I need to get back on my path. So what can I do to feel more comfortable? I can try to climb the ladder on that thought that's making me feel uncomfortable, or I can walk away from the ladder and I can dance and sing. I can get out into Mother Nature. I can walk my dog. I can pet my cat, right? Whatever that is that makes me feel better, then I'm back on my path. Then I have the clarity and the energy to keep driving forward toward the life of my dreams.
And for everyone, that's different. Like you've given wonderful suggestions, but people have to figure out for themselves what are the things that energize them and drive them forward. And then they have to have clarity on what is it that they want. And it's not just clarity on what you want. I think it needs to be challenged of, is that what you really want? Because I think most people are told what they should want, and that's what they go after, only to find out that wasn't what they should have been chasing. And so a lot of that requires that contemplation.
Well, think about that. They're told, like from their parents, you need to become a doctor or a lawyer, right, or something. And they don't really feel it, but they do what they were told. So they take action from not a good energy. This happened with my son. He played football for a few years, and then the one year he didn't want to play anymore, and his father said, oh, no, you're going to stick with it, and you're going to play. He ended up with 2 concussions that year. Okay, so he went forward with bad energy. He didn't want to play. Okay, so that's what happens, and that's what I'm talking about. Never take action from a low energy place, or you're going to get a low energy result. Something bad. So absolutely, what you just said was really, really important. So what do you do then? Even if you don't have to be perfect at it, you don't have to get perfect energy, but just try to just notice, how am I feeling right now? So before I take action, what's a little thing that I can do to feel better? But everyone's going to have their different things, right? Different things in your hip pocket. I want you to make a list of things that always help you to feel better, to feel more joyful, to feel more just at ease, and or more excited about life. Even just slightly, just do it slightly. And the slightest shift within you makes a huge shift around you.
And that it does. And I know we were really going to talk about this, but I think one of the things I find is with Brendon Burchard, who wrote High Performance Habits, is that he helps you to build the framework to do this work. And I'm assuming that you use some of those frameworks with your clients as well to help them achieve success. Because what I've noticed, because I've been to Tony Robbins, I've been to Brendon. Tony's a bit more rah-rah, and he's got a much bigger show. But Brendon gives you hey, these are the specific steps that you can implement and build out for you, like for every part of life, creating a system to achieve what it is that you want.
Exactly. So here's what we're doing. I know Brendon personally, we've worked together, and I've studied all the work of the High Performance Institute, of which he is the founder. And I love the framework. It's all about, clarity, energy, confidence, courage, productivity, but these things are all from your head. And he talks about psychology and positive mindset, right? But we've got this curriculum, this methodology. But what I've done is I've layered my deep energy teachings on top of this foundation from the High Performance Institute. And we call it the Accelerated High Performance Program, because what we're finding is that we're getting greater results faster by my clients when I layer the true energy perspective on top of the curriculum that comes from High Performance Institute. This is really, really powerful, and nobody else out there is doing it. The structure is there from Brendon's teachings, which is very, very good and very brilliant, but it's missing the true deep energy perspective. It's not all from your head. And when he talks about energy, he talks about eating healthy, and that's really important, and working out and all that. And we talked about that. That's the foundation. But it's this true energy that you create that makes all of the difference in the world. That's when you get results from that curriculum, when you layer Stressless Success on top of it. And that's when I started to see the mountains move for my clients.
I totally agree. I think for a lot of people, they don't even have the foundation yet. And that's the bigger problem. Start laying your foundations, which we talk, diet and exercise are bad words, right? People don't want to hear them. And especially today, I think more than ever, is understanding that. And then the physical movement and being part of the universe. And then your thoughts. And Brendon's really good about helping you at least get your base processes down so that you can listen to the next level. So for people who don't have the first level, you got to start working on the first levels. But it's not to say you can't work on multiple things at the same time. You can, but you got to take action.
Yeah, layering the two together every step of the way makes each layer more powerful. Easier. Yeah, that's what I've discovered. But absolutely. So it's nice to have that structural framework and then apply each level of that framework to the concept of energy and that you give off. And that's when everything shifts at each level. So the two go hand in hand is really brilliant. And that's when, and we all need, you know, all of the most successful people all have somebody to assist them, right? Mm-hmm. We all need that help. I have people I refer to that, hey, I need help with this or that. But everyone that truly is going to apply these principles and get results, have someone like a personal consultant or coach taking them through this. And it's really helpful because sometimes it's hard to see our own life. Mm-hmm. Right from the inside out, it's hard to see how what you're doing is really impacting the results of your life. But it's easier when you're somebody on the outside looking and pointing out what it is that you're doing that's hindering your ultimate success. And I love that about having the framework and the teachings on top of it of Stressless Success, to pull all that together so that people do have a result.
So speaking of results, what's one action step people can take this week to move forward?
Okay, we already talked about taking care of yourself and all the wellness stuff. I want you to realize one thing. And Rocky, this is the secret to life, is that everything is energy. So I want you, an entire section of Stressless Success says, get out of your head and into your energy. And here's what I want everyone to do. Just every day and throughout the day, just ask yourself, what is my energy that I'm giving off? And when you have that awareness, you will begin from a place of awareness. Are you feeling good? Are you not feeling good? Physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that is what you're giving off. When you have that awareness, then you will begin to say, okay, how can I improve it? How can I open up my energy, elevate and expand what I'm giving off? Because I understand that the more I elevate and expand my energy, the more my life will elevate and expand.
And that's so true. And that's an excellent action step. It's time to learn the secrets of life. What's your secret to living an abundant life?
Energy. I'm working my energy. I'm a student in my own teaching. I'm still not perfect at it. I don't expect to be perfect at it. Life is a process, but I keep practicing. But the more I practice, the better I'm becoming and the easier it is. Energy.
You know, that is true for every part of life. You're never perfect. You're always getting a little bit better and you're constantly working and improving. And I think that's true for everything.
And that's a sign of a high performer. Even when things are going well, they say, how can it be better? Mm-hmm.
What did you learn later in life that you wish you would have learned sooner?
Life is a joyful experience. When you can sit and realize that every challenge helped you in so many ways, then you realize when challenges happen, you're like, wow, this is good. This is fabulous. I can't wait to see what is coming from this. So every moment of every day is filled with opportunities to live in joy and excitement and anticipation of the day and of your life.
We learn in the valleys, not on the top of the mountain. And so you have to learn to feel joy even in the problems. because they're there, as you've talked about throughout this episode, they're there to serve us. And so we need to get comfortable with that.
See the choice of words? Get comfortable feels better. Mm-hmm. Excellent.
If you were to give an 18-year-old one specific piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Be happy. Do whatever it takes, whatever you need to do to find your joy, to find your happiness, all of those things. And that's what I want you to focus on. No matter where you go in life, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you face, I want you to plant the seeds of happiness and cultivate it and take care of it and nurture it. Because when you do, everything else falls into place.
You know, it's funny. We ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And I remember my kids watching a video when they were a little bit younger. It was hacking something. I don't remember what it was. But the answer to the question was happy. What do you want to be when you grow up? Happy.
Exactly. Think about it. We think about, well, when I get the promotion, then I'll be happy. When I get the raise, then I'll be happy. When I get the new relationship, then I'll be happy, or the house. Well, that's interesting because I talk all about that. You don't wait till you get the promotion to be happy. You learn to work your energy now, because then the promotion comes sooner and with ease.
And that it does. If people would like to learn more and to find you, what's the best place for them to do that?
JanetMcKee.com. Can learn all about me and get access to all kinds of information. But don't forget, StresslessSuccess.com. I have up for a while, because of everything going on in the world, you have the opportunity to get an immediate download of a 3-day Banish Burnout plan so that you can start getting results immediately. But then you have the opportunity, Rocky, to have the option to order a free paperback copy of Stressless Success. I already hit #1 bestseller. I just want to give this information away. All you need to do is pay shipping and handling, and I would be glad to send a free copy. Yes, the book is available everywhere books are sold, but StresslessSuccess.com would be the place to go.
Cool. And we'll put those links in the show notes to make it easy for everyone to find them. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rocky. I love this conversation. It was brilliant on your part. You really led me through a description of everything. You're doing great work in the world. You keep it up, sir.
Thank you so much, Janet. I enjoyed the conversation with Janet. Check out the book. I really enjoyed reading it. And she's offering it to you for the cost of shipping and handling. I know I need to spend more time in nature, and I guess I have to plan better. It's kind of hard when you can't depend on the weather. You might say, okay, I'm going to spend these 2 days, and then it turns into a rainstorm or it's cold. Not always easy, but I will figure a way out to get this done. So are you taking medications? You have to ask yourself, why? I know they help with the symptoms, but the problem is most medicines don't fix the underlying problem most times. And in order to do that, you may need to change your diet, the way we fuel ourselves, and our lifestyle. And over time, you may find out that you don't need those medications anymore. Stress is one of those things that weigh on us. And so getting rid of that is big. And it's one of the keys to sometimes getting rid of the medicines that we're on. The reality is having to go through struggles makes us stronger. A tree that never faces the wind will eventually fall under its own weight if it doesn't have strong roots. And so we need to change the way we view our struggles. This week's action step was to get out of your head and into your energy and ask, what is the energy that I'm giving off? The first step is awareness. Once you start to feel it, you can start to make changes. So why not give it a try? Have you ever walked into a room or met someone and noticed a certain feeling or energy? That's what we're talking about here. As Janet said, sometimes you need help to let you see the forest from the trees. I work with small business owners to ensure financial and life success. If that's you and you need help, get on my calendar. Next week, we have on Tyler Ornstein, who shares his entrepreneurial journey from childhood as he built his coffee company. It's a pretty cool story, and Tyler is an interesting person. I'm sure you'll love it. Thanks for listening. Have an abundant week.